Hi everyone, I'm Jody. Welcome to my channel. I'm really glad that you're here today. And if you love concealer and if you have more mature skin and you have a hard time finding the right concealer to go underneath your eyes without maximizing the look of wrinkles, then you'll be glad that you stopped by today too, because I'm going to walk you through, I have tried over 20 concealers and I'm going to walk you through which ones I think are the best for oily skin, dry skin, combination skin, more mature skin, and if you like matte finish, natural finish, or radiant finish. And to make it even more confusing, I'm going to throw in drugstore options as well as all the way up to luxury. So if you're ready, let's just dive right in and let's unveil concealers. It's no wonder there are so many concealers on the market because everyone's under eye area needs are different. Whether you're just looking for light coverage, if you need more medium coverage, or some of us who need full coverage, and then you layer on the kind of finishes that you have and what kind of skin type, there's a lot of concealers. So first I'm going to share with you the ones that did not work for me. If any of these worked for any of you, please let me know in the comments and let me know what type of skin you have, because the ones that didn't work for me don't mean they're bad concealers. They just didn't work for me. And the first one, which I was really, I can't say I was disappointed. I just wanted it to work because I like so many other products from this brand, is the newest one out by Fenty Beauty. This concealer probably works really nice if you need light to sheer coverage and you have more normal skin. I just found that I needed a lot and I needed to build it to get the coverage that I needed, partly because the consistency is just so thin. But again, if you don't have a lot of imperfections and you just want a brightening effect with minimal wrinkles, then this one might be a good one. It just didn't work for me. Another one that just hasn't worked for me as of late is this Creaseless by Tarte. This used to be a go-to standard for me. I loved this because it's thicker. I could put it where I needed it before it dried and it stayed in place and gave me the coverage that I wanted all day. However, the older I'm getting, that under eye area is becoming more and more dry, and this one is just looking way too cakey because I have more wrinkles. I should probably say there's no concealer in this lineup today that is going to erase your lines and wrinkles or is going to be crease proof. Although some of them claim that they are crease free, and I have yet to find one that actually does that. But some make the creases look worse as we get older. And unfortunately, this Tarte Creaseless is just one that I've outgrown. Another concealer that I've outgrown is the Born This Way by Too Faced. This is a very thick formula, and again, it probably works nice on those that may not have lines or wrinkles and want a full coverage. It's just too thick for my more mature eyes, and the drying effect of this is really drying. Another one that a lot of people like, I just did not like this one at all. I didn't feel like the coverage lasted long enough, and by that I mean I didn't find that it lasted longer than a couple hours, and that's the Hourglass Vanish. NARS. NARS used to be, NARS Vanilla and NARS Custard. I jumped on the bandwagon for that brightening effect under the eyes, and it did look okay. I think the formulation on this one, I know you guys are probably going, let's get to what did work, Jody. We're gonna get there, I promise you. This, the NARS one is okay. I think that if you have, very similar to the Fenty Beauty, it's a thinner coverage. It is a nice natural finish. It doesn't dry down too matte, but I did find that it dries. It makes my under eye area feel a little more drying than I would like for them to, and then they start to look dry and it wears patchy after just a couple hours. Again, I have more mature eyes and dry, so that combination did not work for me with NARS anymore. But again, if you found a way for these to work, then please let us hear it. All right, let's get into the ones that work and I think work really well. First off, for those of you that have more normal to oily skin, and for those of you that like a matte finish, I have two that you might want to consider. The first one is the Giorgio Armani or Armani Beauty Power Fabric Longwear Matte Concealer. I love the consistency of this one because it is thin and it is buildable. So you start with a little bit more than sheer coverage and you can work it up to a medium coverage. It does start to crease a little bit, but for those of us that have dry skin, this is one that you may not want to try because it is matte. And when you have whether it's foundation or a concealer that dries down to a matte finish, on top of already dry skin, it magnifies the look of dry, patchy skin. Now you can certainly apply an eye cream or a serum on before this and you'll get a little longer wear out of it. But again, because it's that matte finish, it's best for oily to normal skin, but it wears beautifully for people with oily to normal skin that like a matte finish. It does build, like I said, to full coverage. This sells for $44 and it comes in 19 shades. If that price point is a little too steep for you, another option for people with normal to oily skin that like that full coverage matte finish is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. This offers good pigmentation, it offers long wear, it comes in 19 shades and sells for $7. It's a bigger applicator, so whenever I'm using this one or its counterpart, the hydrating version, I like to apply this with a concealer brush right from the applicator and then apply it that way, because again, this is just a really big doe foot applicator and I don't need that much concealer. So if you have oily to normal skin and like a matte foundation, full coverage, this is a good option. If you like that hydration under your eyes, but also a matte type of finish, then the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, which is the companion to this one, is a good option for you. Same price, $7.99 and 19 shades. Next up, if you have oily, normal, or more mature skin and you need medium coverage, but you prefer a natural finish, then I've got a couple great options for you. Makeup Forever's Smooth Skin and Blur. This is a liquid type concealer. I love this one because of how thin and yet buildable it is. It's a natural finish. It has hyaluronic acid in it. It sells for $29 and comes in 20 shades. It's a light formula. I put it on with medium coverage and then I'll go back and just dab the little few places where I need it to be full coverage. I don't use this as a full coverage concealer for larger patches of my under eye area because it can start to look cakey if you build it too thick. It doesn't seem to have as much hydrating effect as like the House Labs, which we'll get to in a second. So for those of you that have oily skin and try to stay away from products that have hyaluronic acid because you might get a little bit of that shine or that slippage, I don't find that to be the case with this one. I don't have oily under eyes, but I have used this on friends and family that have oily under eyes, and it stays in place with just a little bit of powder to hold it all day. Very long wear, really pretty finish, so I love this one for all of those skin type conditions. Another nice concealer if you like hydration and natural finish, but you have oily, normal, and just a little bit of dryness to your skin is the Laura Mercier Real Flawless Weightless Concealer. This is the newer one that came out. I like this one. I like it a lot for oily to normal skin. I, again, have dry skin, so I find this one to be just a little bit drying over time. It doesn't accentuate fine lines and wrinkles. It's a nice creamy concealer. It is buildable. I just don't find it as hydrating as some of the other concealers that I have found, which makes it perfect for oily to normal skin. It dries down to a nice normal finish, and with all these concealers, with just a soft setting of a light dusting of translucent powder, they will stay in place. If you add too much powder, then of course you're going to get that real cakiness, and any concealer will look cakey and accentuate the creases if you add too much powder to them. So again, this is a good one for, I find it oily to normal and just a little bit on the dry side. But if your skin is more mature and dry under this area and you like medium but buildable coverage, then House Labs by Lady Gaga is a really good option for you. It has I'm looking for it. Where did it go? Here it is right in front of me. It looks very similar to Dior's packaging. The packaging looks very similar to Dior, so I always grab the wrong one. The lid's a little longer. That's about the only difference. So this House Labs by Lady Gaga is very hydrating, although some people in the comments on the Ulta site say that they found it to be drying. I don't find that to be the case under my dry eyes. I find it to be hydrating throughout the day. This is also a liquid formula. I do find that the doe foot applicator on this one's a little larger than I'd like it to be. So again, I apply it with a concealer brush right off of the applicator. This one sells for $32 and comes in 31 shades. I wouldn't recommend this if you have oily skin. I find that it's just so hydrating and it's more of a serum feel to it. That more oily skin, very similar to some of the other ones, you'll get just a little bit of slippage, I guess, especially if you wear glasses and you have rims that sit on top of this. and you have oily skin, you'll see this concealer start to break up and slip away. Another great option for normal to dry skin that likes medium buildable coverage and a natural finish, I know, it's got to check all the boxes, and that's why there's so many concealers on the market, is the Natasha Denona High Glam Brightening and Hydrating Serum. This sells for $30 and comes in 50 shades. I love this one because of its hydrating effect throughout the day. It's a thin enough consistency that you can either spot conceal with it, or you can do more areas underneath your eyes, and yet it is buildable. This one tends to set up or dry a little faster than the House Labs by Lady Gaga. So that to me is the real big difference between those two, is you just have to work with it a little faster, press it into each of your creases and under eye areas before setting it with the powder. But once you've set either of those with powder, they last for hours. Again, I just find this one's just a little tiny bit harder to work with. Still good coverage, still lasts all day. You just have to be a little bit faster. If you're quick with your makeup, then this is a really good option for dry skin, mature skin, natural finish, and medium to full coverage. All right, now let's talk about those of you that have normal skin and want really full glam coverage. Now, if you've got any lines under your eyes, this will not work for you. But if you have very few wrinkles, really small ones, and you like that boom glam look, then L'Oreal Infallible, where did you go, is your best option. It is very thick, however, so for those of you with fine lines, wrinkles, this is not an option. This is meant for those of you that have really nice, plump, fresh under eye area with no signs of aging. This comes in 22 shades and sells for $14.99. Now I will tell you, when I'm gonna be on TV, this is the concealer that I reach for because it is so pigmented and so thick that I don't get any discoloration, and with as much lights as are in TV stations, then it really can drown out any of the shadowing. In person, if you have more mature skin, this one can really look caked on and accentuate those wrinkles. But if you like full coverage and you have no wrinkles under that area, natural finish, this one is a really good option for you. But let's say you have had some wrinkling under your eye area, you still want natural coverage, you still want a medium to full coverage that's buildable. The holy grail for me under those circumstances is the Clé de Pose concealer. This sells for $75. It's usually on sale, Macy's, Bloomingdale's, Dillard's, Nordstrom. You can usually find it on sale somewhere. When I'm filming this video, this is on sale at Nordstrom for $63. It's a cream formula. It is a natural finish. It's full coverage. You can start with medium and build it to full coverage, which is one of the things I love about it. It looks good on camera, under TV lights, and also in person, which is a really big deal. It comes in 11 shades, which makes it somewhat more challenging to find the right shade for you. But if you're able to go into a department store, for example, they can shade match you really quickly, and it is worth spending the time to do that. Because once you get a little bit of this concealer on your fingers, you just let it melt through the warmth of your hands, and then you just press it wherever you need it. It is so pigmented without the thickness of a thick pigmentation. I am never without that one. On those days where I need full coverage and a nice natural finish, good pigmentation, and I need to look good in person as well as on camera, that's my go-to concealer. So we've had matte finishes, natural finishes, now let's talk about radiant finishes. My favorite radiant finish I have two of them. Now these radiant finishes are medium coverage. I really stay away from full coverage concealers as I've gotten more mature under eye area. That Clé de Pose one is probably the only one that I will integrate in my routine for the reasons that I spoke about earlier. For me, medium coverage is fine, just because if you get too thick of coverage with a concealer in this delicate eye area, you're gonna have wrinkles. There's no way around it. There's no concealer that's going to make your under eye area not have wrinkles. So for me, my go-to look is radiant finish, medium coverage, and the two concealers I reach for in those cases for more mature dry under eye area is number one, hands down, Dior's Backstage. And what did I do? I picked up the House Labs because it looks just like it again. We already did that. Okay, this is the Dior Backstage. This sells for $32. It is a liquid formula. It's one of the only concealers I'm sharing with you that don't have a doe foot applicator. It is more of a bristle, more brush, which I like. I still use it as a doe foot applicator, meaning I will dab it under my eyes and then I'll go back in with a brush and press it in everywhere. This has 22 shades. Like I said, it's a liquid formula. It's medium coverage, and I just love, see if I have any spots left that I can show you guys. I love how this wears on my more mature eyes because it just looks, I think radiant is probably, the reason I think I like it is because of that radiant finish. I find that with more dry under eye area, a formula that dries down to a natural finish tends to look too dry when you put that onto dry eyes. It looks really beautiful on normal to oily skin. It looks more natural finish. But for me, the more dry my under eye area is, the more my concealer needs to lean towards radiant or almost glowy for me. So that's one of the reasons that I love this Dior Backstage so much. And again, this comes in 22 shades. Last but not least was a concealer I was really glad that I found, and that is the Gucci Crease Proof and Hydrating Concealer. These all have such long names, so forgive me, I had to take some notes because there's a lot of names in each one of these concealers. It can't just be Gucci concealer. This one sells for $47 and comes in 40 shades. Again, radiant finish, normal to dry skin, medium coverage, can be buildable. Not really a big fan of that. I find this one wears a little bit longer than the Dior Backstage. And by that I mean just slightly. And I was trying to think about, why do I reach for the Gucci more than the Dior? And I think it's because I love the way they both look after application. I find that this one wears a little bit longer throughout the day, if that makes sense. Again, application the same, little bit of serum underneath the eyes, then the concealer, and then a light dusting of translucent powder. I just find that this one gets me, I don't think any concealer gets me to 8 hours, but compared to these two that offer the radiant finish, I find that the Gucci goes just a little bit longer. That doesn't mean that this is, 4 hours and this is 8 hours. If I was to just quickly reapply this at lunchtime or something, it'd get me through the rest of the workday. But they both have a beautiful finish. They don't oxidize. They don't look drying underneath the skin. They just look flawless and beautiful. So if you were to say, gosh, Jody, I have dry under eye area, I have more mature eyes, there's some wrinkles, I need just a little bit of coverage and I can build it up, then I would probably say the Gucci or the Dior would be a good option. If you need more full coverage for dry, mature eyes, then Clé de Peau. I've tried a lot of drugstore concealers, you guys, and it comes down to e.l.f. and that L'Oreal Infallible. They are a little on the thicker side. I haven't found a good drugstore concealer that isn't too thick. I've tried the Maybelline Erase or Rewind. I know a lot of people like that one. I don't find that that works well at all. I find that my eyes look really dry after I have applied that one. I do love that in a darker color in the 147.5 as a contour. You've probably seen me use that one before. That's that Maybelline Age Rewind. Great contour color. But I haven't found that the concealer works that well for me. Well, I hope this was helpful. I hope that my trial and error of 20 plus concealers helps you pinpoint one that's right for you. Again, part of the frustration comes from not really knowing what you should be looking for. So identify if you've got the oily skin, normal skin, or dry skin. What kind of finish do you like your concealer to have? A matte, a natural, or a radiant? And then what kind of coverage do you want? Then you'll be able to go back through this video and have a couple good options for you. Well, you guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel, because you might have noticed that next to some of your favorite YouTubers, there might be a little gray check. That means that they have been verified. Well, YouTube will only verify accounts if they have 100,000 subscribers or more. So even though it's me, it's clearly me, I can't get that verification check until I have 100,000 subscribers. And that just helps everybody know that they're dealing with exactly who the person is. And I'm not AI, like I'm really a person. This is really my skin. These are really my wrinkles, and this is really my gray hair. So if you could help me out and hit that subscribe button so I can at least get to 100,000 so that I could verify myself, that'd be awesome. That does it for me today, you guys. All these products will be linked down below in the description box, including the shade that I wear in case our shades are similar and you're looking for something in the same skin tone that I have. I will see you guys in just a couple days. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.